At 18 years old, a bus accident nearly ended her life before it truly began.
Doctors said she might never walk again, or paint, or live an ordinary life. That reflection would eventually hang in museums across the entire world.
This is the story of Frida Kahlo. Let's step into her world together.
Frida Kahlo was born in 1907 in a blue house on the outskirts of Mexico City. Her father was a photographer of German descent, and her mother came from a devout Mexican family. As a child, Frida contracted polio, which left one of her legs noticeably thinner than the other. Other children teased her, calling her peg leg, but Frida refused to let it define her. She wore long, colorful skirts and threw herself into sports most girls at the time avoided. She joined a small group of politically engaged students, sharp, rebellious, and deeply interested in Mexican identity and history. Friends remembered her as fiercely intelligent, quick with jokes, and unafraid to challenge teachers twice her age. She dreamed of becoming a doctor and had already begun preparatory studies at Mexico City's top school. At 18, Frida was a bright, ambitious student, planning to study medicine in Mexico City. On September 17, 1925, she boarded a bus home from school with a close friend. That bus collided with a streetcar, and the crash was catastrophic, leaving many passengers badly injured. A metal handrail pierced through Frida's body, fracturing her spine, pelvis, and one of her legs. Doctors weren't sure she would survive the night, let alone walk again in the years ahead. She underwent her first major surgery within days, the first of what would become dozens over her lifetime. Her medical studies ended abruptly. The life she'd planned for herself was suddenly, completely rewritten. Frida spent months confined to bed, her body wrapped in plaster casts and metal supports. To pass the endless hours, her family built her a special easel that fit over her bed. They also attached a mirror above her so she could see herself while she painted. "I paint myself because I am so often alone," she later explained, "and I am the subject I know best." That simple setup, born from tragedy, launched one of the most striking bodies of self-portraiture in art history. As Frida recovered, she reconnected with Mexico City's vibrant world of art and politics. In 1928, she met Diego Rivera, a famous muralist more than 20 years older than her. Rivera was already one of Mexico's most celebrated painters, known for enormous, politically charged wall murals. He was impressed by Frida's small, intensely personal paintings, so different from his own sprawling public work. Diego's murals covered entire walls in government buildings, depicting sweeping scenes of Mexican history and labor. Frida's paintings, by contrast, were small enough to hold in two hands, intimate rather than monumental. That contrast, one artist working in scale, the other in intimacy, defined their creative partnership for decades. The two married in 1929, beginning one of the most passionate and complicated relationships in art history. Their marriage was filled with deep love, but also frequent conflict and public infidelity on both sides. Friends and family sometimes called them the elephant and the dove, a reference to their size and temperament. Despite the turmoil, Diego consistently encouraged Frida's painting and introduced her to influential artists and collectors abroad. The couple traveled through the United States together, visiting San Francisco, New York, and Detroit for Diego's mural work. Diego was also a committed communist, and his large murals often depicted workers, laborers, and revolutionary struggle. Frida shared many of his political views and became involved in activism alongside her painting throughout her life. In 1937, the couple even helped arrange asylum in Mexico for the exiled Russian revolutionary Leon Trotsky. While in the United States, Frida experienced profound personal loss, including a miscarriage that devastated her deeply. She channeled that pain directly into her art, painting unflinching, deeply personal images of her own body and suffering. Her painting, Henry Ford Hospital, depicted that loss with a rawness rarely seen in art at the time. Critics didn't quite know what to make of work so intimate, so different from traditional portraiture. Throughout her life, Frida endured over 30 surgeries related to both the accident and lifelong health complications. She often wore elaborate traditional Tewana dresses, partly from pride in her heritage, partly to hide her medical corsets. Her bold eyebrows, colorful jewelry, and flowers in her hair became instantly recognizable, almost like a signature. Frida once said, "I am my own muse. I am the subject I know best and want to know better." She often painted with unflinching honesty, showing medical corsets, surgical scars, and physical pain directly on the canvas. Many viewers found her work uncomfortable at first, unused to seeing suffering depicted with such raw, personal detail. Over time, that same honesty became exactly what drew generations of admirers to her work. In 1938, the Surrealist movement took notice of Frida's work, though she never fully embraced that label herself. "They thought I was a surrealist," she once said. "But I wasn't painting dreams, I was painting my own reality." Her first solo exhibition opened in New York in 1938 and sold several paintings to enthusiastic collectors. A year later, she exhibited in Paris, where the Louvre purchased one of her self-portraits, a rare honor. Artists like Pablo Picasso and Vasily Kandinsky reportedly admired her work during that Paris exhibition. Even so, Frida found the Parisian art scene exhausting, later writing that she missed the food and warmth of Mexico. Frida and Diego divorced in 1939, only to remarry each other again just 1 year later. Their relationship remained turbulent, but also deeply intertwined until the very end of Frida's life. Through it all, Frida continued painting, producing some of her most powerful and personal work during this period. Paintings like The Two Fridas explored her own divided identity, heritage, and heartbreak with striking symbolism. By the late 1940s, Frida's health had declined significantly, and she relied increasingly on a wheelchair. Still, she remained active, teaching young art students and supporting political causes she deeply believed in. Her students, known affectionately as Los Fridos, often visited her at home when she was too unwell to travel. She taught them not just technique, but a fierce belief that Mexican art deserved its own distinct, proud voice. In 1953, she finally received a solo exhibition in her home country of Mexico, her very first. Too ill to stand for long, Frida had her 4-poster bed carried into the gallery so she could attend. She lay in that bed, surrounded by admirers, celebrating a moment of recognition that had taken decades to arrive. Frida Kahlo passed away in 1954, at the age of 47, in the same blue house where she was born. For years after her death, she remained relatively unknown outside of Mexico, overshadowed by Diego's larger reputation. That began to change in the 1970s and 1980s, as feminist art historians rediscovered her deeply personal work. Scholars began celebrating exactly what earlier critics had dismissed: her raw honesty about pain, identity, and womanhood. Today, Frida Kahlo is recognized as one of the most influential painters of the 20th century. Her image now appears on murals, magazine covers, and even Mexican currency, a symbol recognized far beyond the art world. Her blue house is now a museum, visited by hundreds of thousands of people every single year. Her paintings, once dismissed as too personal or too strange, now sell for millions of dollars at auction. Frida Kahlo turned unimaginable physical pain into some of the most honest art the world has ever seen. What do you think gave Frida the strength to turn her pain into such powerful art? Tell me in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next episode.